Welcome to Sports Scene. I'm your host, Cody. Today, analysis, we'll battle it out to see who will earn FaceTime. Introducing first, from the heartland of Wisconsin, the three-time All-ACC left tackle who has stumped the Schwab a record 4 times and is our defending champion. Don't call him the Dominican Sue, Matt Diesel Gutzman. Our next contestant from the East Coast, the underdog of Sports Scene, trying to silence the naysayers, Pete, the Overtaker. And our last contestant, and the only smart one today, wearing the Blackhawks jersey, don't call him Patty Kane because of his missing tooth, it's Collin Talbert. All right, folks, today we are going to start it off with the NFL Draft, which is approaching in 2 days. So, guys, who do you think's going where in the draft? We'll start with Matt first.
Well, first pick overall, I think is going to be Jadeveon Clowney. Whether it should be or not, I disagree with that. I think Bill O'Brien's got to get his quarterback first and take Blake Bortles first overall. Get his quarterback, start the regime, just start with his personnel in there to get the team going.
Pete, what do you think?
Oh, I totally agree. It's going to be Jadeveon Clowney. Wow, I can't talk today. Going first, and then we're going to be looking either Teddy Bridgewater and then Blake Bortles is going to be going definitely Vikings. They need somebody at a quarterback position, and they're really hurting for that. So look for Vikings to pick up somebody in the quarterback position.
Mr. Kane?
See, this is my first time that I'm going to disagree with Matt. Probably many of this show. I don't see the Texans getting quarterback first overall. There's no way in my mind that they don't go Clowney or Khalil Mack. Jadeveon Clowney might be the most rare, pure talent that we've seen in the last 5 years. And Khalil Mack is a very good pass rusher as well. I think that he could mix well with J.J. Watt. I think they go one of those two directions. And also, I don't know if Blake Bortles goes Vikings. I say if Vikings do draft a quarterback, I think that they go with Johnny Manziel. That's just my opinion. I would love them to draft Johnny Manziel. I think his professional career is not going to pan out as well as maybe as well as people think it's going to be. But I think the Vikings maybe get a quarterback there, number 7. I think it's Johnny Manziel if they do go quarterback. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Okay, what do you guys think about like the safeties like Calvin Pryor and Clinton Dix? Do you think any of them could maybe slide in the draft, or are they one going to go top 10, one going to go later in the round? Matt, we'll start with you again.
Well, from the latest I've seen in mock drafts, one of the safeties, it kind of differs between the drafts. One of the safeties should be there at 21 for the Packers, but both of them are pretty hot commodities because these two are easily the best safeties in the draft, and after that, the safeties are a little work in progress. They don't know what they're going to get, but teams think these two are immediate impact safeties.
All right, and Pete, I'm going to throw a different question at you. Do you think anyone will trade for that first overall pick?
I could see somebody trading. I'm not exactly sure who offhand, but I don't think the Texans really need the first pick overall. I don't think they really need Jadeveon Clowney.
Okay.
Personally. They got J.J. Watt, so I could see a lot of people trying to trade up for that.
And this is a question for our last panelist here, Collin. So which one of these NFL prospects do you think has the cutest girlfriend?
Oh, I mean, without a doubt, Catherine Webb. When you look at Catherine Webb, she's A.J. McCarron's girlfriend. There's not much to say about her. She's a dime piece. I hear that she does basically everything, or makes him sandwiches, get him coffee, watches film with them. So, I mean, you can't go wrong with that for when you're looking for a girlfriend. So, I mean, Catherine Webb would be my one for the NFL players, definitely in the draft.
All right, Matt, do you got any comments on that?
I agree with him. Catherine Webb's right up there, but Blake Bortles with his girlfriend Lindsay Duke, she's beautiful.
Lindsay Duke, she must be from Florida. Huh?
Close number 2.
Close number 2, yes.
Okay, guys. Well, we're going to move on to talk a little bit about the Packers. Who do you think the Packers will take at number 21, and who maybe could they take in the second round? We'll start with Pete on this one.
I'm looking C.J. Mosley, inside linebacker, is definitely somebody that the Packers could take. They need a lot of help in that position. They have a lot of issues with the defense, and yeah, they really need help there. And I feel like they could definitely be taking Lewis Nix III, second round.
Notre Dame.
Out of Notre Dame, defensive tackle.
So you're going with the linebacker. What about you, Collin?
Well, absolutely. If C.J. Mosley is a guy that could make an impact as well, but I think if one of those safeties there, if Clinton Dix drops to 21, you definitely have to take a shot at him for the Packers. He's just the best pure corner or pure safety in the draft so far. I think both sides. I think another guy you look at, Kelvin Pryor. He's that big physical safety that's going to come up, make plays up in the box, stuff like that. But I think another name that a lot of people don't bring up as much is Ryan Shazier, another linebacker. You're talking about
Ohio
the
State.
linebackers. He's one of the most ripped guys I've ever seen. His combine numbers were awesome. He's out of the Big Ten. He's played that big competition. So I think that's another guy that they could think there go first round, Ryan Shazier maybe. So.
And they do have another first-rounder linebacker in the name of A.J. Hawk from Ohio State. So, Diesel, your thoughts on this?
I agree with what everybody has said. I think hopefully C.J. Mosley will be there. I think they got to get rid of Brad Jones. Brad Jones, he needs to be gone for middle linebacker. But they could also look to second-round projection middle linebacker in Wisconsin native Chris Borland as who will step in there, be a blue-collar guy, make every tackle, be around the ball. He's going to be a stud in the NFL. He's just going to be that blue-collar type linebacker.
So you guys are all on the offensive side or defensive side of the ball. Do you guys think that Ted Thompson maybe could draft a wide receiver or even someone on the offensive line? We'll start with Matt on this.
It wouldn't surprise me. You never know what Ted's going to do. I don't think he will go that way because of how deep this class is, especially in the receivers. If they want a receiver, they can look third, fourth round and get a guy who can step in and make an impact. But they need to go defensive. The offense is fine. Defense is what's going to take us to that next level to compete with San Fran and Seattle to get us back to the Super Bowl.
Pete, do you think we're losing anything with James Jones and not drafting a receiver maybe?
I don't think you're losing anything by not drafting a receiver because Aaron Rodgers, he can make a receiver that's not so good better than he looks. And I think sticking to the defensive side is where we need to do. Ted Thompson, yeah, he's a really good GM, and I think he knows what's best for this team, and he's going to pick who is the best for this team.
What about you, Collin?
I think if they do go offense, I think they're going to probably look at that tight end position, kind of up in the air with Jermichael Finley's neck injury. Is he going to be back in the Packers organization? Corliss and Bosick both didn't play every game, so we don't know what they're exactly going to give us. Maybe a guy sitting there in the first round if he drops that far, Eric Ebron from North Carolina, a big physical guy, very athletic, great pass catcher, would fit really well with I think Aaron Rodgers and that offensive scheme fit. So I think that they go defense, but maybe look at a tight end there first, second round. Who knows? We'll have to see what Ted Thompson's thinking.
All right, guys. Well, let's move on to the sleeper picks. A couple years ago, the man Russell Wilson was drafted in the 3rd round, and a few years earlier, Tom Brady was drafted in the 7th round. So who do you guys think is going to be the sleeper of this draft? We'll start with Collin, please.
I look at two guys. We'll go on both sides of the ball. My first guy, everyone talks about Clinton Dix and Kelvin Pryor, the two safeties. A guy out of Northern Illinois, my home state, only about 45 minutes away from my hometown. Jimmy Ward, the safety out of Northern Illinois, is a very, very good coverage safety. I think a guy that we put next to Morgan Burnett, he'd be very complimentary. Just got just pure ball skills. I think he could be a sleeper and start every day. And on the other side, a Wisconsin guy, Jared Abbrederis. His route running is just perfect. To tip top to the point every single time. I think he could get a 3rd, 4th round pick. Maybe use the comp pick on him. Put him in a slot right behind Randall Cobb, maybe have him return kicks and punts. I think those are two guys that could be big sleepers in the draft, especially for the Packers sense, I think.
Those are excellent sleeper picks. Matt, you got anyone different?
Actually, both of my guys are different. Both of them project to go in the 2nd round. One of them is on the offensive side of the ball, and that is Dante Moncrief, wide receiver from Ole Miss. Goes 6'2", 220, and runs a 4.4 40. He's big, athletic, stretch the field. Started in the SEC since a true freshman and is absolute stud at Ole Miss. Defensive side of the ball is DeMarcus Lawrence, defensive end and could play outside linebacker depending on the scheme from Boise State. He's long, lanky. They say he's one of the better pass rushers in this draft. And his draft profile says something that I love looking at in players. He says, carries a swagger and plays with attitude. There's nothing better coming out of a football player than that line right there.
That's a great line, Matt. You're right. Peter, You got anyone different?
I actually do. I have Pierre Desir, cornerback out of Lindenwood.
Going real deep.
I am going real deep.
All right.
He's probably going to go 3rd, 4th round even, maybe. So.
All right, well, let's take it to the bus now. You know, if you guys remember, there was a Packer that was drafted named Justin Harrell, who was drafted 16th overall, that only played in 6 games, considered one of the biggest busts in NFL history. Who do you guys think will be this year's Justin Harrell? Matt?
Well, both of my busts that I'm going to want to talk about are quarterbacks. One of them is Zach Mettenberger from LSU. I didn't think he really showed a whole lot at LSU to be considered as highly scouted as he is. Some have projected him in the first round, late first round to early second round. He's coming off an ACL tear and actually failed a drug test, which they say was diluted because of his rehab from ACL tear. And the other one is Jimmy Garoppolo from Eastern Illinois. I don't think he's going to live up to that Eastern Illinois name of Tony Romo. I don't think he's going to be a solid quarterback. I think he's going to be 3rd-string career. And, yeah, I don't think he's going to pan out, like they say.
So he's got Garoppolo. Who do you got, Pete?
I got Johnny Manziel. I really don't think he's going to live up to what he has. He is a good player, no doubt in my mind that he's a really good college football player, but when you come to the NFL, you got a lot of bigger guys that hit a lot harder, and I just don't think he's going to have what it takes. I see a lot of RG3 in him.
So would you consider him kind of like a Tim Tebow type?
I would. I think he's going to have a couple good years, and then he's just going to fall off, and you're not going to hear much of him, pick up a couple 2nd strings, maybe in 3rd strings, and then slowly disappear out of the sport.
All right, Collin, let's finish it up. Who you got?
Well, I'm just going to start off with the whole quarterback class in general. I think this class is going to be a big bust. You know, honestly, I see only maybe 2 quarterbacks going in this first round. And the guy that not a lot of people talk about is Teddy Bridgewater. I think he's going to have the most successful career out of anybody of that group. I think Bortles is going to be a bust. I think Manziel is going to be a bust. I think Carr is going to be a bust. But a guy in particular, he plays linebacker, and all the Badger fans are going to hate me. I do not like Chris Borland. I don't think Chris Borland's career is going to pan out. His size, he's only 5'10", 5'11", and he had a good college career. He's a typical Big Ten linebacker. I think he fits into the system. I don't see him maybe having an average career in the NFL. I don't think he's going to be a big-time playmaker. You know, as much as Badger fans are going to hate me, I don't think Chris Borland's going to be as good as what Badger fans think he's going to be. That's just my opinion.
Okay, so Collin thinks Borland, but he also said Ryan Shazier was going to be a first-round pick. So let's move on here. Let's go to, since this is the last sports scene, how about we talk a little Super Bowl predictions, huh, guys? I know it's a little early, but never too early to talk about the Super Bowl. So, Peter, who do you got in the Super Bowl this year?
I'm going with the 49ers for sure. I think they're actually going to go all the way. Out of the AFC, I'm looking Broncos again, personally.
Collin?
It's a tough question. I think there's a lot of teams that could make it there, obviously. I'm going to stick with the Patriots. I think with what they did with Darrelle Revis, I think that was big. And then I think the Seahawks are just too good defensively, and I think they'll make it back to Super Bowl as well.
And Matt, you got the Lions or no?
I do not have the Lions.
Okay.
I think the Broncos are the obvious choice from the AFC, but I'm going to predict that the Colts, they're going to draft O-lineman, protect Andrew Luck. He's going to take him to the next level.
Quick question for Matt. Do you got anything about the Jets and Mike Vick?
He's going to be backup.
Backup to Geno Smith. All right, guys. Well, this is the end of the first round, and we will be right back after this short commercial of Perfect Pets.
Meet Selma. She's a 1-year-old tiger mix that loves to play and adventure. And this little kitty is Topaz. She's a curious kitten that likes to learn and play. Meet Sergio. Though this guy looks like a majestic wolf, this 3-year-old mix is nothing but gentle. And here's Finley. She's a 10-month-old pit bull terrier mix that loves to show off her new tricks and can't wait to have her own home.
To find out more about adoption for these pets or others, contact the Cooley Region Humane Society at 781-4014.
Again, that number is 781-4014. Let's welcome back to Sports Scene. Leading the pack here is Diesel with 10 points, and Peter and Collin each have 5. So let's get into the next topic here. We're going NBA here. With all the Game 7s that just happened in the first round, which Game 7 or which series did you think was the best? We'll start again we'll go with Matt.
I thought the best series in the first round was the Grizzlies Thunder. It was physical. Zach Randolph, I think, cost his team huge in punching Steven Adams in Game 6 and getting suspended for Game 7. Just stupid of him. He's one of the biggest assets to that team. Without him, the Grizzlies stood no chance. But up until Game 7, it was physical. Every game was almost an overtime. Came down to the last second shot. It was just an amazing series.
Peter, which game do you think was the best?
I like the Pacers-Hawks. I thought it was a lot of tension between the teams. Pacers were said to be one of the best teams coming into this playoffs. And then here they were struggling to even make it past the first round. And they did eventually come up with a win, and I thought it was really interesting to see how much they struggled in it. And actually, I was kind of disappointed. I wanted to see them lose, actually. But
I wanted the upset, too. Collin, your thoughts?
I would probably go with the Spurs Mavericks just because Spurs were 1 seed. I think Mavericks gave them everything they could handle, and when Vince Carter hit that 3, the game winner was just disgusting. I loved that, but obviously the Spurs came, with all their experience, Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, carried them to the win. I was surprised with how I thought honestly that the Spurs were going to take them in 4 or 5, but the Mavericks caused them some fits, and I thought it was a great series to watch, and I think the better team moved on, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah. Dirk Nowitzki, he had himself a series to keep the Mavericks in it. Well, we're going to move on to the Eastern Conference semifinals with the Wizards and Pacers. As Peter said, the Pacers barely snuck by the Hawks. So, Peter, who do you have winning this series, the Wizards or the Pacers?
I actually have the Wizards winning this one. Pacers and Wizards played last night. Pacers lost. Roy Hibbert totally choked in the game. He didn't score a single point. I think this was almost a do-or-die game for them because they barely snuck past the first round, and if they're having troubles in the first or second round, I don't see them going on, personally.
Collin, you agree with him?
I have to agree because Pacers have lived and died on their defense the whole season, and their defense has just been invisible this whole playoffs. I think the rise of Nene and Gortat for the Wizards causes a lot of fits inside because of how the way Hibbert's played. And if I knew how to do it, I'd be doing the John Wall right now. But I think John Wall is the best point guard in the playoff. Besides maybe Chris Paul, I think John Wall's playing out of his mind right now. And Bradley Beal, how about a guy out of Florida is having a pretty
20
good
years
playoffs
old
as well. Only 20 years old. He's been scoring buckets, only over 20 points a game. So I think the Wizards are going to take the Pacers surprisingly in that series.
Diesel, please tell me you're taking the Pacers here.
I will not take the Pacers. Roy Hibbert scoring 0 points, 0 rebounds, only having 5 fouls. That was his biggest stat line last night. T-Mac put it best on Twitter saying, I scored as much as Roy Hibbert did in this game. And T-Mac's out pitching for some independent league team called the Skeeters. I think the Wizards are too young, too athletic. Paul George and Lance Stevenson didn't show up in game 1. They went and combined 8 for 30 and scored 30 points, I think, combined. So,
well, I think most of America is probably with you guys in taking the Wizards after the Pacers just looked terrible last night. Let's move on to the Heat Nets. We got the 2-time NBA or MVP LeBron James, who just lost it to Kevin Durant today. Who do you think is going to win this series? Heat Nets? You got an upset pick there, Collin?
No, absolutely not. Heat are going to win this one. I think in 5 or 6 to get back. I think they're going to go all the way and win it all, in my opinion, again. I think LeBron James is, even though Kevin Durant did win the MVP, I think LeBron James is by far the best basketball player in the NBA, just what he does. His all-around game. I think the supporting cast is playing well right now. The Nets are a little old. I don't want to say they're a little old. They do have Darren Williams, who's from Illinois, who I'm a big fan of, but I just don't think that they have enough. I don't think the Nets have enough, juice in there to beat the Heat. I think the Heat make it back to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think they make it back to the NBA title and win it all.
So, Diesel, do you think the Nets can pull off that upset?
No, I'm a huge LeBron fan, and I don't think the Nets have anybody who can guard LeBron in this series. The Heat were the most dominant team in the first round. They're the only team that swept. They're almost one of the only series that didn't go to 7 games. They just look too strong, and what Collin said, I don't know if the Nets are too old or not. They couldn't be. Who knows what Nets are going to show up. If Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce play like the Celtics and have that bad blood with the Heat, they might be able to stand to take 1 game.
Pete, you on the bandwagon?
I am, yeah. It's not going to be hard for the Heat to go through. Even though the Nets did sweep the Heat in the regular season, I think the Heat, they're just on this tear right now, and it's not going to matter, really.
All right, well, I'm going to go back to Diesel here real quick. What do you think about Dwayne Wade? Do you think he'll have an impact in this series, or is he going to be injury-prone like he has been?
I think he will have an impact, and hopefully the biggest impact that he makes is defending Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson was probably one of the hotter players for the Nets in that first round, having a couple of huge games, and that's going to be Dwayne Wade's job, is to stop Joe Johnson. Hopefully he does it. I think he's going to be healthy. We'll see. I mean, who knows? He is old, kind of old, but we'll see.
Yeah, I guess you guys are, again, with America on this one, taking the Heat. Go figure. All right, guys. Well, as you all know, it's hockey time. We are in the second round of the NHL playoffs, and we're going to be talking about the Wild and the Blackhawks, with the Blackhawks up 2-0 in the series. Collin, do you think your Blackhawks can keep this play up?
Yeah, I think they can keep the play up, but I mean, I think the thing that's overlooked here is I thought the Wild outplayed the Blackhawks in Game 1, to be honest. I think their intensity was better. They got about 10 or 15 more shots on Corey Crawford that first game. Game 2 was a little better for the Blackhawks, so I think the first 2 games, the score didn't show really how close the game was. I think the Wild, unfortunately, I think they're going to steal one of these next 2 games at home. I think the game's over 5, maybe 6 if Wild get one at the UC, but you know, they don't lose at the Madhouse in Madison, and if it comes down to it and it comes back to home ice for the Blackhawks, they're going to win. You know, Corey Crawford's playing so well in net, and the Stars. I mean, Patrick Kane's playing really well. Jonathan Toews is playing well. So I don't know. You can't go wrong with the Blackhawks right now. I think they're playing the best in the West, and maybe even in the whole NHL right now.
Matt, do the Wild have a chance here?
I wish they had a chance, but I don't think they do. They played out of their mind to come back from the 0-2 deficit against Colorado. But the big thing is right now in this series is the goaltending play. Corey Crawford is playing out of his mind in goal right now, and Ilya Brogosov, sorry, I probably mispronounced it,
That's how bad
he can't stop. Yeah, he's not stopping anything, especially after Game 2 and giving up 4 or 5 goals. I looked to see the Wild take one at XL and hopefully get both of them at the XL and send it back to Chicago tied, but I don't see it happening. I have Chicago in 5.
Peter, what about you?
I was actually surprised. I thought the Wild was going to win the first one, and if they did, I thought they'd have a definite chance of taking down the Blackhawks. But with the Blackhawks going up 2, I don't think the Wild can pull out another amazing comeback from being down 2. So I just don't see it happening this time.
Well, not a lot of disagreement in these last couple topics, unfortunately. So, with that being said, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Sports Scene.
Hey, can't find what you're looking for?
What?
You can find what you're looking for and more at WMCM. WMCM TV has plenty of shows you can view at your pleasure. There's Profile, where we interview people throughout the community. Or if you like sports, we have Sports Talk Live and Sports Scene. And if you're into celebrity gossip, that's why we have Afternoon Delight.
Well, that all looks great, but I'm on a computer, not a TV. I bet you guys don't have a way for me to watch this stuff on a computer.
Oh, we have that covered too. Just go to WMCMTV.com for all the updates.
Wow, that solves all my problems. Thanks, WMCM Genie.
Welcome back to Sports Scene. We're going to jump right back into that NHL playoffs and talk about the Bruins-Canadiens. With the series tied 1-1, who do you think is going to win this series, Diesel?
I have Boston win it. I have it being a really good series like it has been the first 2 games. Boston in 7. But right now, the thing that's setting the Canadiens apart from the Bruins is that they're scoring on power plays. They're about, right now, 50% for the series on their power play opportunities, where Boston hasn't scored once on a power play. But I think Boston has too many weapons and are going to win because of people like Patrice Bergeron, Lucic, Krejci, Jerome McGinley, and one of the best defensive men in the NHL, Zdeno Chara. I think Boston has too much, 7 games.
Pete, do you agree or disagree with that?
I disagree. I say it's going to be the Canadiens because with the Bruins, if you can't score on power plays, I don't think you're going to have a chance at pulling off a victory because points are so hard to come by in hockey.
And let's go to our NHL expert, Collin. Who you got?
Not even close to an expert, but I think that this series is definitely about the goaltending. Carey Price versus, I think, Tuukka Rask, who maybe besides Jonathan Quick, he's probably the best goaltender in the playoffs so far. I think it's going to go 7 games. I think it's going to go to the home ice. I think the Bruins are going to win. I think they're just way too physical for the Canadiens, and defensively they're tough.
All right, guys, with our last topic approaching, which is the Milwaukee Brewers. What do you guys think about them Brewers? They're on such a hot streak. They're the best team in baseball. Diesel, can they keep this up?
Can they keep it up? No. Is it good for them now? Yes. Coming off that last road trip, I believe they went 3-4. The team batted about 195, and that goes to show how they've been hitting all year. They only have 5 players hitting above 250, and one of them is their backup catcher, Martin Maldonado. Their bullpen right now is pitching out of their mind. K-Rod's 14 for 14 on save opportunities. The starters have been really good. Only one of them has an ERA above 3.2, which is Matt Garza, who they just spent a lot of money on this offseason. But I don't think the pitching staff's going to continue up all season, and I still don't see them winning the NL Central.
Pete, you got them winning?
I do have them winning, personally. I think their pitching's been really good. They haven't been getting behind. While I feel they are going to slow down a bit, teams like the Reds and the Cardinals are going to catch up a bit. I don't think it's going to be enough. I think they've pulled up to quite a big lead right now, and I think they have what it takes to pull away with this one, personally.
Collin, the Brewer hater, who do you got?
I don't really watch the Brewers that much, to be honest, but I think I just look at the division. I think the NL Central might be one of the toughest divisions in baseball with the Cardinals, the Reds. Besides probably the Cubs, I think the Pirates, Reds, and Cardinals are 3 teams that all could be in the playoffs every year. So I don't see the Brewers keeping this up. Well, I guess we'll have to see. Time will tell.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, we have declared our winner, and it is Matt Diesel Gutzman. He'll be the first one to get his FaceTime today. Matt?
Well, I'm going to start off with my FaceTime about saying congratulations to California Chrome on winning the Kentucky Derby. It was a good backstory for them, too, of how they got there with their trainers and how they actually got the horse. But congratulations, you won, but you're not going to win the Triple Crown. Affirmed will still be the last Triple Crown winner, and I believe it was 1977.
Peter, what do you got?
All right, I'm going to go over the racing world here. I know there's not a lot of NASCAR fans out there, but for those of you that are, Talladega was just this weekend. We had Denny Hamlin getting his first victory of the year, but with some big names still winless. We have Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson, and Jeff Gordon still winless.
And Collin, wrap it up.
Just real quick, Lacey Halsworth, she's a little 9-year-old girl. If everybody watches Big Ten The Journey, she's a 9-year-old girl who kind of hung out with Adrian Payne, who was a player from Michigan State. She died about a month or 2 ago. I just read an article in Bleacher Report, kind of her last couple of weeks of her life spent with the Michigan State basketball program. It's a really touching story. If you guys got a chance, check it out on Bleacher Report. One of the best stories I've probably read in a long time. Almost brought tears to my eyes, and yeah, definitely out there more than sports. So,
very inspirational story there, Collin. Well, thank you guys for tuning into Sports Scene. We will see you next fall. Stay classy, lacrosse.